Mathew Golden's production hasn't matched the hype so far, but there's good reason to believe the breakout is coming.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You were Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet. And the show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. This episode brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda, Move and Be Moved. It has not been the rousing statistical success that the Packers might have wanted from Mathew Golden, or that I would say more appropriately, fans wanted. I was on this show saying I think that Mathew Golden will be wide receiver 1 by like Halloween. That still might be true. But he has not produced at a high level so far. And that is an understatement, right? He's got 2 catches for 16 yards. Now, Jordan Love missed him on a would-be touchdown on 4th down. He missed him on a would-be 92-yard touchdown on a deep ball. Both, I guess, technically both deep balls. So the opportunities are there. There is this stat, and if you've followed my show or followed me on social media for a long time, you know there's always a stat when I want to make a point. But Fantasy Points does this charting, and they have this metric they called average separation score. So basically, how often and by how much are receivers getting open? Through 2 weeks, Mathew Golden leads the NFL in average separation score. And yes, that acronym is ASS. Guess who's 4th? Romeo Doubs. So the 2 guys most commonly out there in 2 receiver sets for the Packers are top 5 in creating separation in this offense. Matt LaFleur has done a terrific job of manufacturing opportunities, of giving Mathew Golden opportunities to succeed. And Mathew Golden has taken those opportunities and maximized them. This is feeling, and I wrote about this the other day for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to, very much like Christian Watson early in his rookie season, where you've got these games where he's making an impact. You go back just by gravity. You go back and you watch the tape and you go, man, I know he's open on this backside route that's not part of the concept, but he's open. He's winning his matchup one-on-one. The corner doesn't know that he's not in the concept, and he's getting open. And there were plenty of plays that the Packers ran specifically for Mathew Golden that they just didn't hit on. I gave you 2 of them. Now, Love was looking to his left on the 4th down, came back to his right. If he's looking at Golden from the rip, maybe he fires that ball on time and it's a touchdown. Guess what? Matt LaFleur is watching the tape. Jordan Love is watching the tape. They're seeing that Mathew Golden is consistently open. And that's going to give him more opportunities. You hope that it gives Jordan Love more faith in Golden on, 3rd down, or maybe as a first read on 4th down. I can't speak out of 2 sides of my mouth. There have been times when, Jordan will take a one-on-one when he has an opportunity and not run the concept side on that 4th down. He was looking at the concept side. It wasn't there. And so he got back to Mathew Golden late. The ball gets underthrown because he's worried about throwing him out of the back of the end zone. You still needed to put more on the ball. There are opportunities here. And again, that offense in 2022, it was clunkier than this one by a lot. And so they needed eventually to get the ball to Christian Watson. I don't know that this offense will ever quite be in the same position where you feel like, man, you really have to get it to Mathew Golden or you're not going to be able to move the ball with any sort of consistency or explosiveness. That's just not the deal here. This team is the most explosive offense in the NFL. Jordan Love, if there was no yak, would lead the league in EPA per play by a mile because he's just throwing the ball further down the field than everyone. He threw the ball 14 yards on average down the field against the Commanders. It's crazy. And I thought Deontay Lee in a piece for The Ringer made this point really well. He said, look, they're creating all of these explosives and they've been highly efficient in the red zone, highly efficient on third down. And so what I would like to add to that is that's true. And if they come back to earth a little bit on the efficiency on third down, or they have a game where situationally teams are just kind of all over the stuff that they have on third downs. We've seen games like that, even against great offenses. The Packers have had defensive games like that against great offenses. The fact that they hunt these explosives can offset some of that. And look, they had opportunities against the Commanders. They didn't hit. They had a touchdown, a deep ball touchdown called back. Jordan Love misses 2 throws down the field. Well, if just one of those things changes, that can offset a failed third down here or 2 or 3 even, because you don't expect to score 7 points on a drive. Like, you score 7 points on a drive for a really, 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 really good offense. That's 2 drives. For most offenses, that's 3 or 4 drives or more. So that's the situation that the Packers find themselves in. I don't see any reason to believe they will stop hunting for explosive plays. And without Jayden Reed, who is the zone guy against, these teams that want to put a shell on everything, put 2 safeties back and play quarters, play cover 2, whatever they're going to play. Jayden Reed has been the zone guy against the Vic Fangio quarters defenses, whatever it is. That's been Jayden Reed. Now that can be Mathew Golden. And he doesn't have to be some, he's a rookie, man cover, ball winner type guy. No, just run those deep overs. Some of the gadget stuff that Jayden Reed did, whether it's jet sweeps, we've seen Golden already be, prolific on that stuff. I think you're going to see more of Savion Williams as a replacement for Reed at times. But as someone who can create vertically those crossing routes, those deep over routes, vertical seam routes against cover 2, Mathew Golden can do all that stuff. And so he's got this opportunity now, given the injury. And we know Reed had the clavicle surgery and the foot surgery. You hope that he'll be okay. We don't know how the foot surgery part of this plays into his recovery window. But he's going to be out a while. This Packers offense, though, has been kind of fine without him, and it just means more opportunities for Mathew Golden with Reed out, because I expect a lot of Golden in the slot, Golden in the schemed up touch game, and then as that zone beater in particular. I think Romeo Doubs is still the man beater on 3rd and 6 when the Packers are facing man, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. That's the guy they're looking for. And we've seen Dontavian Wicks on some of these 3rd and mediums, 3rd and longs, where they go to him. I think that is the smart thing to do right now, because they're the veteran players. They're the bigger bodies. You expect them to win as route runners more often than Mathew Golden. But the speed for Golden, it plays right now. Now, let's talk to Lily Zhao from Fox 6. Lil Zhao, you doing for week 3 as we look forward to the Cleveland Browns. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, Jordan Love, along the sidelines, running over a defensive back. It was a signal to his team. This is a different me this year. This is a different team this year. No shortcuts. It is all gas, no brake. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans, cheering for your team. And let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. Guess where? I bet fans are not super stoked to go this week if you're the home team. Cleveland. So if you're a Packers fan in and around Ohio or could get to Ohio, guess where you ought to be? In Cleveland for this game. It's going to be fun. And there are still seats available right now on Game Time. The Game Time guarantee means you can be comfortable knowing you're going to get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download today. It feels like forever since we've had Packer football, but it's only been an extra couple days. The Packers playing, of course, on Thursday night. So that means we have even more to talk about here with our pal from Fox 6, Lily Zhao, to answer the week 3 burning question. So how you doing?
Peter, I am doing very, very well. I think I say this every single week, but I'm doing very well because I will say, and I think a lot of people will say, well, you can watch football on a Sunday, having already watched your game. It's nice. Yeah. It's nice to relax and sit back and watch, what else is going on in the NFL. So I am doing well. The weather is in the 80s. So I am doing well. How you doing?
I'm great. To your point, I love to be able to if I want to check out for a little bit, I can check out for a little bit. If I want to go take a nap for a little bit, and guess what? During the early games, I definitely did that because a lot of those early games were pretty cheeks. So not cheeks, this Packers team on Thursday night, with some time now to reflect. Anything standing out to you that maybe upon, initial watch did not jump out to you? We're like, wait a second, like this is actually really interesting.
Good question. I would say just the level of efficiency that we've seen thus far from guys like Devontae Wyatt, Lucas Van Ness, etc.
Great one.
Not to say that we wouldn't have seen it this quickly because they're all really talented players and we were expecting that leap. But with the veracity that these guys have played at 2 weeks in, I was stunned in the best way possible. Again, we've talked about Micah Parsons, that move really elevating the room around him. But I mean, these guys are playing out of their minds up front and getting after really good offensive lines and quarterbacks. And so I think the play up front has really surprised me in the better 2 weeks into the season. Now, whether or not they can kind of sustain that for the rest of the year, we will see. But I like what I've seen so far, and those guys have really impressed me up front.
Yeah, and look, the point is not, the defense has played well because what the point you're making is like, hey, some of these other guys not named Micah Parsons are being really, really efficient with the snaps that they have on the field. To your point, the Packers are one of just 3 teams with 5 different players to have at least 5 pressures through 2 games. And I put this out on social media. Rashawn Gary is one of them. He plays 66% of snaps through 2 games. Lucas Van Ness is another one. He's played 52% of snaps. Micah Parsons has played 57% of snaps. Devontae Wyatt has played 74% of snaps. And Edgerrin Cooper, he plays all the snaps, but he's an off-ball linebacker. So he's one of those guys, too, that's creating those opportunities. So to your point, this has been a highly efficient pass rush. And I don't think we normally think about defenses being efficient. We normally think about offenses being efficient. But when you can do that, and you're just like every 3rd and 8, you're just manhandling people, it makes it easier for you as a defense because then Jeff Hafley gets to get in his bag and do all that fun stuff. That, I think, takes us to this week with the Browns because Myles Garrett is that kind of guy. He can be wildly efficient. What would your level of confidence be if it is, let's say, Anthony Belton, that the Packers don't have to change too much of what they want to do with him out there?
Right. I think that's the big question. I think it's, can Anthony Belton handle a guy like Myles Garrett one-on-one, or do they have to bring in help? Do they have to bring in another body up front to block for Myles Garrett because of how good he is? I mean, he's a stellar player. We all know it. I think this matchup is really going to determine whether or not the Packers have a good day on offense. Again, we've seen a lot of good defenses bring the pressure on the offensive line and it makes every quarterback's life difficult. And so if they can try and neutralize Myles Garrett in a way, I think that really will open up the Packers offense. I mean, last time they played, right, the Eagles got after Jordan Love in the postseason. We all saw how that ended. And so you want to make sure that your rookie is ready to roll. I know he's confident. I know Matt LaFleur said Anthony Belton, outside of that penalty, played very well. But you're going up against a guy like Myles Garrett. It's a different level of competition. So I really believe that, if he's the one starting on Sunday, that he has to be confident in what he's doing. I know he will. But I think the question is, can he handle him one-on-one, or does an extra body have to come in? And if so, how does that look?
Yeah, the Packers have been playing more of these two tight end sets. And so maybe this is just kind of built into the offense now. I mean, I guess we'll see. This was something we talked about yesterday. What is the plan for Myles Garrett? He is like goal 1, 2, and 3 at least is to block Myles Garrett, because he really is the only guy on this team that you have to worry about beating you. And I think that's an important point, right? Like Xavier McKinney said, we can't feel like we won the Super Bowl after 2 weeks. So if there is a thing that you think they could focus on, a player who you think could get them there, what is going to be the thing that keeps them locked in this week?
Ooh, good question. I would say, I think the fact that Xavier McKinney said that, right? Don't anoint us after 2 weeks of play. I think that's very fair, because again, you could start out 2-0 and then you're terrible at the end of the year. Packers don't want that. They want to keep going up, right? And so I think for the Packers,
use much more colorful language to say the same thing you just said.
Yes. I'm like, I wish I could say it on here, but we can't. But to answer your question though, I think honestly this game, and again, I feel like it's like my answer every week, but I think just the play of Jordan Love, because we know what this defense can do. And depending on how, is Joe Flacco playing the whole game? Is Dylan Gabriel going to come in there? How do they look? I mean, their offense can get rattled. We've seen it in the first 2 weeks. So I'm not terribly concerned about what this defense can do about their offense, but I think it comes down to, can Jordan Love, if he is facing pressure, again, dole out the ball? Can they strike fast on offense? Can they get out to a fast start? And again, get after the Browns defense and again, neutralize it in that respect and prove that, I feel like in these first 2 weeks outside of game 1, game 2 they were firmly in control, but the scoreboard didn't reflect that. So
Yep.
Can the scoreboard reflect that against a team you should beat? I think it starts with the offense this week.
I think that you said you think it's a kind of a rote answer. I don't think it is. I think Jordan Love, to your point, you want to beat a team you should beat. They're almost 10-point favorites in a game this week. I had to sort of reorient my brain back to 2020 and 2021 to remember what that was like, because they haven't been heavy favorites against anybody in a while. But Jordan Love not turning the ball over, Jordan Love being smart with it and just controlling everything at the line of scrimmage, that's going to be so key for this team. And to your point about starting fast, if it's 14-0, isn't it just going to feel like this game is over?
Yeah. I mean, that's just how good this defense is. And then you want Flacco or whoever to come in there and make a mistake. And that's what you want. You want them to start throwing downfield, and you want Xavier McKinney or Keyshawn Nixon to pick off the ball. Like that's what the Packers want to do.
Just to rewind to the Commanders game, because you mentioned him, Keyshawn Nixon, 5 pass breakups against the Commanders on Thursday. If I had told when Keyshawn Nixon got here, what was that, 2021? That 2022 version of Lily Zhao, when he's an all-pro kick returner, but like a nickel, that he was going to have 5 pass breakups in a game and be, according to some of the metrics, like one of the stingiest corners in the NFL through 2 weeks. What would that version of Lily said?
Show me the proof.
Yeah.
And we've seen it. I mean, and I'll give Keyshawn credit. I mean, he talks the talk and he's walking the walk thus far.
Yeah.
And yes, when your defensive line is putting that amount of pressure on a quarterback, it is quote unquote easier to sit back there and kind of enjoy the fruits of their labor. It's, it makes your life easier, right? As a guy in the secondary, when your defensive line is playing that hard. But to Keyshawn Nixon's credit, I mean, he was phenomenal against the Commanders. And again, these are not just, rookie receivers. These are really talented receivers that the Commanders have, like Terry McLaurin. He's out there punching the ball out and, doing as much as he can to stop this really potent offense. So hats off to him. And I think I asked him, I'm like, is this kind of what it means to be CB1? He said, yeah. Like it was very matter of fact. Like this is what he expects out of himself.
More with Lily Zhao next on Locked On Packers. The NFL season is here and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. My picks, I went 7-5 with my picks this past week, which means, guess what? I'm making money, which means, guess what? I'm up 2 weeks in a row. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. You love that out of corners because you have to play that position. You have to have an irrational confidence that if you get beat 4 times in a row, that 5th time you go, I'm going to stop this guy. And I don't care if that's Kelvin Johnson across from me. Like, I'm going to do it because you kind of have, like, the receivers are so good and the offenses have such an advantage that you kind of have to believe that. And so I love that about his attitude. He has proven me wrong over and over and over. And I'll wear it. Like, I'll take it. Happy to be wrong when a player is vastly outperforming my expectations for them. This running game has not quite got on track, Lily. And we know Josh Jacobs, how talented he is and all the interesting things that they were able to do last year. Can this offense continue to play this way where the running game is fine, but really the running game exists to set up the play action so they can take these shot plays down the field? Like, is this good enough for the run game right now?
I think it's good enough for now, but it's not going to be good enough for later because there probably will come a game where you need to get that first down to win a game. And if you're going to go 3 run plays and you can't get 10 yards, that's not great. So while it's still early, it's not the end of the world because Jordan Love, that play action game really working, like you said. But I think later in the year, I think is when that run game really has to get going because they might be needed in more ways than one. And so I know Josh Jacobs even said, listen, the run game takes 5 to 6 weeks to get going. Everybody can chill. We'll get there. It's not an issue right now. We are confident we will get there. But I think this is a good week, though, against this defense to see, hey, can we actually get chunk yards on the ground outside of, kind of getting stuff to the line? And I think this is a big week for them to prove that, too.
Especially in a game where you feel like you should be playing with the lead most of the game. Can you just, like Emmanuel Wilson, Chris Brooks, Josh Jacobs, can you just pound this team into submission in the second half? And the good for now and not good enough for later is a great line. But you can imagine, right? A 4-minute offense where you have to kill the clock against the Vikings, the Bears, the Lions, the Eagles, someone late. And you have to be able to, the Packers, right? Last year, that defense, they couldn't get that one stop. Sometimes offensively, you have to get that one first down. And so, okay, in the run game, can you do it? Can you just churn that stuff out? That would be my concern right now, Lily, too, that this passing game, the aggressiveness that they've had, like, are they going to hurt their defense in the long run because they've got some of these 3 and outs chasing these explosive plays or like 2-play touchdown drives? Like, I do wonder about the defense being able to sustain this. We're going to fly to the ball every play when your offense is chasing these explosives like this. I don't have a good answer for that.
Yeah, that's a delicate balance to play because I think the defense would be the first to say, yeah, if they can score in 2 plays, we'll gladly take the touchdown and the 53 seconds off the clock. Definitely. Versus you drive 9 minutes down the field and you get nothing out of it.
Yeah,
and so, right. So I think they'd be the first to say that. But to your point, though, it's still a very long season. We're 2 weeks into a massive season. So I think, even when you watch the primetime game, the Falcons and Vikings, right? Bijan Robinson and company able to really pound the football and you just weigh that defense down. And so I think that kind of has to be the identity of the Packers outside of taking some shot plays down the field is knowing we're well balanced. Yes, we have really good pass catchers, but we can pound the rock too. So to your point, though, I think that's a really good point of, if you are going 3 and out really quickly, there was that one sequence against the Commanders. They went run, incomplete pass. I mean,
did not like that one.
Yeah, it didn't take a lot of time off the clock whatsoever. And if your defense is gassed, we all know the problems that can cause. So I think the well-rounded offense hopefully is coming very soon.
As you look around the NFC, the Vikings are kind of a mess. JJ McCarthy now 2 to 4 weeks. Caleb Williams and the Bears are a complete mess. Look, it didn't take a rocket scientist to predict that might happen. They're still the Bears. The Eagles don't look like the team that we saw at the end of last year. The Lions, we saw what happened in week 1. How is your perspective on the NFC changed since 2 weeks ago? And let's put the Packers aside. Like, they look like the best team in the NFL period right now. But how does the rest of the conference look to you?
I think just what you said. I think it's a winnable conference. Again, we're talking 2 weeks in the season, but I think it's a winnable conference for the Green Bay Packers. I think that's just what it is. When you look at the amount of just top to bottom good play from your offense and your defense, special teams still needs a little bit of work there. They're dominating. They're dominating. And you watch a team like the Eagles who are still really good, but you're thinking this Packers team this year can certainly compete and certainly beat this Eagles team this year. And of course, they're going in as the favorites to win the NFC again, right? And then when you look around the division, you're thinking, okay, what we did to the Lions and what they did to the Bears, still really, really good Detroit team. So you're thinking that division crown is yours to take. So I don't see why the Packers shouldn't be in that discussion. But to your point, though, Peter, it's nicer for the Packers this year at the NFC.
Yeah, and guess what? You got to do it. You still got to do it. Our friends at FanDuel have the Packers as the favorites in the NFC, slight favorites over the Philadelphia Eagles right now. They are the same Super Bowl odds. So look, I love Xavier McKinney saying we can't act like we won anything. And I want to take a second for us to take a victory lap, because in the preseason, you may remember, and everydayers will remember, we said this looks like a more mature team. And they just seem locked in a different kind of way. That was before the Micah Parsons trade. And that seems to have clicked everything into place, where everyone on this team is saying the right things. They seem like they're more focused. They're coming out in these games ready to attack every single moment. The defense is flying around. Matt LaFleur, aggressive, throwing the ball. It just, like, this is lame in some ways, but you're here as our vibes expert always. It just feels different this year.
It really does. It feels different. You see Romeo Doubs celebrating after touchdown.
What has gotten into him?
They're different. Yeah, it's great. I mean, he's great in the locker room. But I will say though, it's I think week 3 is a big challenge for the Packers. Not to say that it should be a difficult game, but it's your first true road test. You're heavily favored.
Yeah.
Playing an offense that who knows?
Stinks. Let's be honest, they stink.
Yeah, it's not great. And so this is a game where I think all eyeballs, everyone's going to say the Packers are winning this game. So it's, again, can you have that mental fortitude to say, yeah, we're going to go take it to the Browns on the road. It's just what it's going to be, versus playing down your competition. So I think this will be a good test this week, though, Peter. If they come out and play like, we expect them to play, I mean, the trajectory is high, but the last thing you want to see is first true road game going out there and laying an egg. So I know their mental fortitude is strong this week, and from what their leaders have said, I think we should believe them.
If they go out and play the way that they have the first 2 weeks, which is not easy, it is human nature to take your foot off the gas a little bit against what I think rightly believe is an inferior opponent. But if they go out and kick this Browns team's ass, like they've checked off most of the boxes now, and then it's sustain it, stay healthy, get to the postseason playing this way, and then the sky's the limit for this team. I really believe that. Lily, we will talk to you next week. It's Micah Parsons revenge week next week. Let's go.
Can't wait. It's going to be fun. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks to Lily for joining the show. Always great to talk with her. We are back tomorrow here with much more Locked On Packers. Our crossover Thursday. It's a non-traditional opponent, not someone you're going to see very often. So Spencer German, our new Locked On Browns host, get excited for that. He's a great host. We haven't had him on the show yet. He's been on Locked On Sports Today, if you listen to that. So go check that out. Otherwise, we are live tonight, 7:15 Lambeau time. The Squad Show. Former offensive coordinator Jeff Jagosinski. Brandon Snide, who also hosts our Locked On Brewers postcast, which, if you're not listening to, why not? It's great. We will be live together, 7:15 for an hour. Wednesday night. That's tonight. Like this evening. Come hang out with us. And then, of course, we'll be live after the game. I do Locked On Packers right after the game for a half hour. Then we do an hour. So 90 minutes. Locked On Packers, Locked On Packers Squad Show. We're doing it for you. Follow me on the social medias. Follow the podcast on the social medias. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube. Come hang out with us on the Squad Shows, which you can find on YouTube. And then, of course, they'll be in your feed as well. So you can stay Locked On Packers.